What drew you to Amin's story?
I came across it. It was a complete accident. Paratosh met a producer from Omni in Toronto, was talking to me, and I happened to mention I'm from Edmonton. I plug Edmonton's rich art scene, the Fringe, all of those kinds of things. He said, okay, shut up. I have a story for you that you might be interested in. There's this guy, and you should go meet him. And so it's in the middle of February, and I met Amin and 3 or 4 of his friends at the Tim Hortons. Had no idea who this guy was. Walked in, chatted with him, through translation for 3 or 4 hours, and was kind of blown away by this story. And at the end of it, he handed a magazine that the BBC publishes. And so I said, okay, I'll read this article on Amin and see what they have to say. The first 2 paragraphs, the journalist went on about how honored they were to have 15 minutes with this guy. And I had just literally had 3 cups of coffee with him. And once he told me his life story, and this film doesn't do it justice, the work that he does, what is driving him, his passion for Somalia, I mean, it's just so great and profound, and the story is so big and complex. There was no way to squeeze it all in. But at that moment, we knew we had to try our best to tell this story.
And how did the film become something different than what you originally thought it was going to be?
Well, it became very different for Omni. They said you have 2 weeks to shoot it and a month to edit it. And we're 3 years later. They're not so happy with us. But, as we said to Amin, like, this isn't a story that you can tell in 2 weeks. There's so much to try to capture. And so we really fell in love with it. And so, yeah, it changed a lot. It was supposed to be a 1-month job, in and out and done, and that just wasn't going to work. So it evolved into this.
So you follow the story no matter where it goes.
Yeah, and that was a real challenge at some points. I mean, just from a logistics point of view, living in Toronto and this story happening and unfolding here and being able to get back and capture those moments. And also with Abdu, who we really did lose track of for those couple of weeks, and subsequently, I haven't spoken with him in years and would love to.
Okay. So do we have some questions from the audience?
Well, that's easy.
When is the DVD coming out?
Hopefully, we'll have something out in the new year. It has to screen on Omni and show there first, and then we can start duplicating the DVDs.
Anybody else?
Someone right there? Well, one of the aspects that's not featured enough, but it is featured, is the work at the Somali Canadian Centre. Abukar, I don't know if you're here. Abdullahi, I don't know if you're here. Mohammed, but the work that these people are doing with the youth was incredible. Both my parents were teachers, and so I have some understanding of the passion the teachers have to, really push their students and whatnot. But this was a whole new level. These guys would really live and breathe this. There at 10 o'clock at night and back at 8 o'clock in the morning. So I thought there was fantastic work and just tons and tons of dedicated people. So my perspective was it was wonderful. Yeah.
I had a question. I noticed that you use a lot of location shots in Edmonton, and it kind of has quite a gritty feel. Was that kind of part of your plan and how you laid out the shooting of kind of the Edmonton locale? And just one other question. What's actually the website of the cool political cartoons for Amin
aminarts.com. And yeah, most of the shooting took place around Amin's neighborhood, as well as Abdu's, and sort of the journey in between. So yeah, we wanted to sort of capture a slice in the life. I mean, that's where Abdu hung out. Those are the places that he lived and played, and we wanted to set up his world.
Are you planning to do any more with him? I know, I mean, he has a lot of more than that.
I know I have about 100 hours of footage to prove it. Amin and I are talking about another project. I mean, the whole point of this film, and one of the things that you have to take into account is, it was never going to be possible to show everybody everything that Amin has ever done. This film was definitely geared towards an audience that, you know, may not even know that he exists. And so the idea was just to, you know, give a taste and set up a conversation. And hopefully some people that don't know who he is will now know who he is and have some appreciation for the types of work and the issues that he's tackling. Any other questions? Yes.
So what most surprised you about his story?
Okay, well, I guess probably one of the most surprising things to me, maybe not specifically about his story, but if you start looking at this guy's cartoons and just the power of his voice, it's amazing how quiet and humble and, you know, small he is. It was really funny with Somalis that know his work but have never seen him. When you say, oh, we're bringing Amin Amir, and they say, oh, I heard he's 6'6" and like muscles like this and can blow through brick walls, and then everyone's surprised to meet Amin, who's the quietest guy in the room. And I guess that was probably was most surprising. Every week that we spent, and we'd walk on the streets and literally people would screech their cars to a stop in the middle of the road, get out and want to talk to him. Absolutely unbelievable. So that, as much as people told us, we started to realize and feel kind of cool ourselves. We're like, hey, we're with a celebrity here, you know? This is pretty awesome. And yeah, so I guess that was really what was most surprising. Another story, which is quite long, and I won't get into the details, but his art actually changes things. I believe it was one drawing, and he freed a bunch of political prisoners in Libya, just because he can cut right to the core of an issue. You know, you don't need to read hundreds and hundreds of pages. You see one image, and you get it. And man, has he made some political leaders mad. Hey, Amin? I mean, he's just amazing at slicing through and just hitting an issue right in the core and getting people to talk about it and understand it. Well, Amin does have a file with the RCMP, and all of the death threats that come in, they do send to the RCMP. They're all combed through and evaluated, and all taken very, very seriously. And you know, he takes I guess, proper precautions with just protecting, you know, his family and where he's going and all of those kind of particulars. But while we were there, I mean, they're very, 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 very real. And it's amazing that he pushes on, even after receiving some of these terrifying messages.
We have time for one more question.
It's not a question, it's just a comment. I think he's actually quite courageous to keep on, his desire to tell the truth and with his drawing, so I commend him for his courage.
Well, thank you. One of the reoccurring comments when talking with Somalis around the world, if I run into a Somali person, I mention Amin Amir, and immediately I'm their best friend, typically. And what Somalis have said that sets him apart is he never takes a side. He just tries to expose what's wrong and try to show the truth to people. And it's a very, very complicated political situation that has evolved and changed in many, many ways. But I think his one guiding principle is he just wants to be the voice of the people. He doesn't take a political stand. He doesn't have an agenda. He just really tries to show the truth. And that's what makes his website and his cartoons such a pure and reliable source of information for Somalis around the world.
Okay, thank you,
Thank you
very much for this world premiere. And as you leave, there are tables out front with ballots for all of the films. Please vote for this one. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks very much. I appreciate it.